So we're here again at Emirates Stadium for Arsenal versus Chelsea in the WSL today, and what feels already like a very, very pivotal game for Arsenal, and possibly a pivotal game for Jonas Eidevall. It hasn't been the start to the season that Arsenal really wanted. They had a very disappointing 0-0 draw here with Everton last weekend, having already drawn with Manchester City, which is, you know, an acceptable result, but in the context of dropping points against Everton, it already makes this game against Chelsea feel incredibly pivotal. And like, if Arsenal don't win it, already they're quite a long way back in the title race. And actually what's quite interesting about this game is both teams' preparation for it. Chelsea have only played 3 games so far this season. They played their opening Champions League game against Real Madrid at home on Tuesday night, and they've played 2 WSL games, whereas Arsenal have played 3 WSL games already and 4 Champions League qualifiers and their opening Champions League group game, which they lost 5-2 against Bayern Munich on Wednesday night. And I think one of the concerning things about the last 2 performances is that they've both been a little bit bitty. They started well against Bayern Munich, but as soon as the momentum turned against them a bit, you really had that sense that heads dropped, and that happened a bit in the Manchester City game as well. But this is such a pivotal game for Arsenal already. There's already a lot of rumour and innuendo around the future of the manager, Jonas Eidevall. I think it's fair to say he's probably lost the fan base at this point, and it's quite a long way back for him to win them back. But it'd be a very good start and a very good kick-start to Arsenal's season if they could beat Chelsea here today. Maybe a performance like last season's 4-1 win over Chelsea here would go some way to arresting some of those concerns. So we've kicked off here, and I think you can see the game plan straight away from Jonas Eidevall's team selection. Beth Mead and Caitlin Ford playing out wide, Mariona in the centre, Lotte Wubben-Moy in for Leah Kadina at centre half, and that's clearly because of Lotte's superior long diagonal passing. Arsenal clearly want natural width on both sides. If you cast your mind back to Arsenal playing against Bonpastor's Lyon 2 years ago when they won 5-1, they really got joy behind Lyon's fullbacks, and Chelsea push their fullbacks very high. So clearly a big part of Arsenal's game plan is going to be trying to expose that space behind Baltimore and Bronze. So Chelsea have taken an early lead through Mayra Ramirez, exactly what Arsenal didn't want. Failed to clear a set piece, a couple of half clearances, and quite a bizarre goal really. It took everyone a while to work out that it had gone in, but Mayra Ramirez hooks the ball back over her shoulder, back into the top corner. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0, Chelsea 1. And that's 2-0 to Chelsea. Sandy Baltimore with a header on the back post. I think the fact that Sandy Baltimore comes forward so much has been part of Arsenal's game plan in trying to expose the space in behind her. But Chelsea have come forward. Arsenal haven't played badly here really, but Chelsea have come forward. Lauren James in the box. Very difficult to make a challenge on her. She's so good on the ball, and you don't want to give away a penalty, and she clips cross to the back post, and Sandy Baltimore's completely unmarked to head it home. 2-0 to Chelsea, not looking good for Arsenal here. So we're halfway through the first half, still 2-0 to Chelsea, and again it's difficult to make sense of because Arsenal haven't played badly in a sense, but the defending for the second goal is really, really poor, and that's just put Arsenal in such a sticky spot here. In many senses, the first goal, no one makes a big error or anything like that, but the second goal, and then Arsenal kind of, you know, get back into the game, play reasonably well, but the defending on the second goal, it's just a real killer. It's just such a long way back against a team like Chelsea. Difficult to see where Arsenal go from here really, but Chelsea are leaving space. I think Arsenal can expose them. They do look quite good going forward, but they can't afford any more defending, particularly like the second goal. Otherwise, not only is this over, it could get bad. Arsenal have one back, and they really, really needed that before half-time, and it's Caitlin Ford really taking the initiative in the penalty area. She's powered to that byline a few times so far in this half, and this time, instead of going for a cutback and watching no one attack it, she's decided to take the shot on from a narrow angle, blasted it in off the post, exactly what Arsenal needed, both in terms of the goal itself, but that assertive play that's really been missing in the penalty area. It's Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2.
Fourth officials are looking to a minimum of 2 minutes at a time. 2 minutes.
So So beginning of the second half here, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2. Just did an interview with the BBC at half-time. Perhaps predictably at the moment, a lot of the questions about the manager, what's going wrong at the moment, and touching a little bit on the defending, particularly from crosses this week in both games. But Arsenal are back in this with a goal from Caitlin Ford. And like I said earlier, I think the manner of the goal was very important as well, that Caitlin perhaps just got a little bit sick of crosses that no one was attacking and really took it on. We've had really heavy rain here at half-time as well, and that's going to make the pitch very, very greasy. And I've just got a feeling that for one of these sides that might be a factor. And what's clear at the moment is that the next goal is the really, really big one and will probably be decisive in this game. So we're halfway through the second half here, still Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2. Arsenal, as you'd expect, really turning up the pressure here, kind of pushing Chelsea back. Chelsea have taken Lauren James and Myra Ramirez off. Not sure I'd have done that if I was Chelsea. Those two are really, really good dribblers, and particularly on the counter-attack, I think they were giving Arsenal a lot of problems. But as you can imagine, Arsenal really, really pushing hard for this equaliser here. They've just brought Frida Mornham on for Beth Mead. Particularly with the greasy conditions, maybe her long shots as well can really make a difference here. But good half so far from Arsenal, but obviously Chelsea still, threatening on the counter-attack here quite a lot.
Today's crowd is 45,860. The fourth official indicating a minimum of 6 minutes added time. 6 minutes.
Here at Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2, and I think the tale of this game really is that between the penalty areas, I think Arsenal are pretty dominant for most of the game. Some of that game state related, because obviously Chelsea take quite an early 2-goal lead, so obviously they're going to be a bit more willing to sit in. But even before that, I felt that Arsenal were exposing Chelsea. Chelsea were leaving some spaces for them, but really where Arsenal will have serious regrets in this game is what happens in both penalty areas, because the 2 goals Chelsea score are very reminiscent of some of the goals we saw Arsenal concede on Wednesday night in Munich, particularly the cross for the second goal, which is really, really poor defending. And then at the other end, Arsenal had a lot of situations where the player in the final action just doesn't quite take charge, doesn't take the shot on, looks to pass on the responsibility. And what really struck me in this game is the goal Arsenal do score through Caitlin Ford. She really takes charge of that situation. She shoots from a tight angle. I think she was a bit fed up of getting to that byline, crossing the ball in and seeing no one attack it, and she lashes it in. And really, if Arsenal had just done that one more time in this game, I think they at least get a point. I think it's a good performance, but obviously what you do in both penalty areas really governs the result, and that's what's happened here. And difficult to feel too positive about the season. Now that puts Arsenal 5 points behind Chelsea already. Chelsea have a game in hand, and it really feels already like Arsenal's target in the WSL has to be to stay in the top 3 and qualify for the Champions League, which doesn't feel that great this early in the season. However, if Arsenal play like that in most of their games, they will win them. So, maybe some green shoots there, but not really expecting Arsenal fans to feel particularly happy or positive about that or about this result today. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2.